Entertainer, educator, and author, Marshall Silver has been appearing live on stage for over 45 years. The media calls him the world's leading expert in subconscious reprogramming and irresistible influence. His fans call him the greatest hypnotist of all time. From his humble beginnings as a poor farm boy growing up in a home with no running water, electricity, or phones, he has been a product of his products, transforming his life into that of the rich and famous. He is the most televised hypnotist in history, with multiple appearances on Howard Stern, Montel Williams, and many more. He's the only hypnotist to ever appear on Late Night with David Letterman a record 5 times, even bumping the top 10 list. Letterman said, "For all your hypnotic needs, Marshall Silver is the man to see." On the Dr. Joey Brown Show, he cured 10 phobias in under an hour. He has created and stars in the world's largest hypnotic production show, Real Hypnosis, Really Funny, and has appeared on the main stage of Caesars, Planet Hollywood, Paris, the Palms, the Stratosphere Hotels in Las Vegas, and many more. His books are published by Simon & Schuster and have been published in multiple languages. His life-changing audio and video programs have changed millions of lives around the globe. His top-rated infomercial, Passion, Profit, and Power, did over $100 million in sales the very first year. As an educator, Marshall has shared the stage with Donald Trump, Susie Orman, Presidents Clinton, Ford, and Bush. Zig Ziglar said that Marshall was one of the most dynamic speakers he had ever shared the stage with. His live events on becoming financially independent, creating passionate, lasting relationships, and changing your life have broken attendance records worldwide. In Taiwan, he simultaneously hypnotized over 5,000 people through an interpreter. He is the go-to authority on all things regarding hypnosis or persuasion and influence. His 3 babies, Sterling, Maximus, and Prosperity, were all born at home via hypnosis with no pain, no drugs, and no doctors. Prosperity's birth was live streamed with thousands of viewers watching, whether he's flying around on private jets to change people's lives, or lounging at his 17,000 square foot home in Las Vegas, or his waterfront home in Southern California. Marshall Silver is an example of what he teaches. Now here he is, the millionaire maker himself, Marshall Silver.
Hello there. We're live. I'm getting some echo here, so let me figure out what I'm doing, if that's possible, frankly. Let's see. Just gonna do this. Can you guys still hear me? Hmm. Can you hear me at all? Yeah, we're getting some echo in the studio. Are you hearing the echo? Oh, that's weird that you're not hearing the echo because I'm hearing a delay on my voice. So let me figure out what's going on with that, and we'll. So today's show is about anxiety. Interestingly enough, the whole show is about anxiety. And what is anxiety? Anxiety is living in the future. I'm going to go out of the studio and come right back in. Let me see if that helps. So stay tuned. Working out a bug. By the way, so Gary says he's not hearing an echo, but I'm hearing an echo in the studio. So if anybody on the team has an idea of why I might be hearing an echo, let me know. I wonder. So at any rate, what is anxiety? Anxiety is a concern about the future. That's what it is. Anxiety is a fear that things are going to happen in the future that will be bad for you. And at least during this portion, I'm going to turn the volume down inside of my studio so that I cannot hear myself. You can still hear me though, correct? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Lovely. So I'm gonna chat with you and tell you about this, and then deal with my anxiety issue here in the studio in a moment. Last night was remarkable. It was. I had a phenomenal day. So much fun on the first broadcast. Congratulations again to Melissa Sigler for winning our first 10-ounce bar of Marshall Silver that was given away. And for those of you that are brand new to the show, a couple things are going to happen on today's show. A few things actually. Number one, I am going to be teaching you during this first portion and giving you some great advice. I'm going to talk about anxiety today, living in Satori, and so much more. After I get done giving you content, chatting with you for a little bit, I'm going to open up the phone lines, the video lines to receive your calls. And on the bottom of the screen will be a place that you can not only sign up for an affiliate link to refer your friends to the show so that should they decide to do anything with us, you'll get a big fat, PHAT, big fat affiliate check commission. Also, though, during that time, when people call in, we're searching for the most interesting question of the day. So if you want to win pure silver, ask me a cool question. Take a look in the chat and you will see the link to contact us to get into the studio. If you're the most interesting question of the day, you win 10 ounces of pure silver. Today, it may only be worth a few $100s, but tomorrow, if Biden gets reelected, it'll be worth $10,000. So you might want to consider calling in and getting some silver. The other thing, though, is I got a big box beside me, and everybody wants to get into the box. I mean, Lord knows I do. And inside the box is the secret word of the day. The secret word of the day. Should you utter the secret word of the day? And during the time that we were chatting, well, you're asking me a question. Well, yesterday we had $5,000 up for grabs. It was not one. So today, as promised, there's $5,500 up for grabs. And my prayer always is that somebody wins the cash. What a cool thing for Christmas. $5,500 cash for Christmas. Should nobody win it though, tomorrow or the next time we broadcast, rather, I'll add 500 bucks to it and it'll be $6,000 up for grabs every single day we're live. I add money to it until it gets won. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. This is brand new and we're here today. Take a short break for Christmas. Going to be back during January for some more beta tests so that I can figure out how to get the echo in my studio going and so much more. We'll bring in other production elements. But for now, yesterday's lesson was all about everything begins. Yesterday's lesson was about the concept that you've got to fail forward fast. You've got to be willing to lose. You got to be willing to fall flat on your face. You got to be willing to look bad in order to create anything of excellence. You know, I've been watching the saga ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter. And this is what's fascinating to me is that everybody loved Donald Trump. Everybody, blacks, whites, Democrats, Republicans, even Hillary Clinton loved Trump until he came down the escalator in Trump Tower and announced his candidacy. Then they hated him. Everyone loved Elon Musk until Elon bought Twitter, which was the mouthpiece of the far left Democratic Party. Make no mistake about it. I know this firsthand. I had 150,000 followers on Twitter. And one day I go to my account the day after I posted something very favorable about Donald Trump. I go to my account and the account is wiped clean. There's no followers, not one. I contact Twitter to find out what's going on. This is pre Elon Musk. I contact Twitter to find out what's happened. And they say, you went against our terms and conditions. Well, as you know, if you've ever been accused of going against some platforms, conditions, and terms, they don't tell you what the terms and conditions are that you violated. You just violated them. And so overnight, they wiped out my account that I'd worked for years on to build up to 150,000 followers. Thank you very much. They wiped it clean. And the account stayed there without a single follower for months. And I was fed up. And so I never went back to it. And one day I went back to it and I made one post that basically just said, hello, anybody out there? Because I had no followers. Figured nobody would see it. And the next day they eliminated the account altogether. So anxiety is worrying about things in the future and how they negatively impact your life. Depression is living in the past and being concerned that the things that happened in the past are insurmountable, that they are not solvable, and that long term they will harm you. So I want you to recognize this simple fact. Living in the past is depression, living in the future is anxiety. You cannot guarantee your future. You can certainly alter it, you can adjust it, you can increase the likeliness of certain things happening. You can't guarantee it. It's impossible to guarantee it. And so I want you to write a word. And even though today's theme is anxiety, not the secret word, mind you, just a word The word for the day today is satori. Oh, what a beautiful word. It's sexy, I think. Let me say it again. Satori. I mean, can you imagine walking up to a woman or if you're a lady to a man in a singles bar and saying, "Hey, baby, satori." I mean, it just sounds sexy. It kind of makes my body vibrate. At any rate, satori is living in the present moment. And it's a very powerful strategy for success. It's a very powerful thing for you to do. Years ago, I had somebody come to me and they said, I have a severe fear of flying. I cannot fly. And I said, I don't believe you. And they said, what do you mean? I said, you don't have any fear of flying. They said, well, yes, I do. I just told you I do. I said, recognize what you told me, except you're mistaken. You don't have a fear of flying. You have a fear of dying on a plane. That's what your fear is. It's not a fear of flying. It's a fear of that sudden stop when the plane stops moving and it hits the ground. That's your fear. Because you're not afraid of being in the air, are you? They said, well, not really. I said, you're not afraid of being on the plane when it's sitting on the runway, are you? They said, no. I said, so when you're up in the plane, it's not that you're afraid of being in the plane. It's not that you're even afraid of flying. You're afraid that the flight will end badly. And they looked at me kind of puzzled and they said, well, yeah, that may be it. And I said, "No, that's it. I guarantee you that's it." And they said, "Okay, how do you get rid of my fear of that sudden bam stop at the end of the flight?" And I said, "Satori." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "The fact of the matter is flying is dangerous. So is driving, so is walking, so is waking up. All those things could be the predecessor to you dying. It's a fact. It could happen. You could die. So the fact that you could die, you need to surrender to that because you're either going to die or you're going to live. It's a fact. If you're going to die on the plane, you're going to die. You're not in the pilot seat. You're not a mechanic. You're not going to be able to fix the plane mid flight. So if you're destined to die on that flight, you're going to die. So if you're going to die anyway, no point in creating anxiety until you do. You might as well just have a cocktail and enjoy yourself. On the other hand, you might not die. And if you're not gonna die, all that worry will be in vain. There'll be no point. So if there's no point in worrying because you're not gonna die anyway, well, you might as well have a cocktail. So I guess the solution is have a cocktail. I'm joking. Yes, I am joking. And for those of you that know me closely, I have loved my cocktails. I definitely have. I have loved my fine wines for decades. This past year on July 12th, I had my last margarita, and it was a good one. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a margarita. Sure, there was salt on the glass, but there really wasn't any mix in the glass. No, okay, I had a shot of tequila with salt on the rim. That's what I had, but it was a very big glass of, it wasn't really a shot glass. Okay. I had a tumbler filled with tequila, and I said, "This is the last drink I will ever have." I would like to tell you I remember it, but it was a very big glass of tequila. I don't remember anything from the rest of the night. What I do remember, though, is that night I vowed that I'm not drinking alcohol anymore, and I haven't. I don't. I don't mind if other people drink alcohol. It's just not right for my body, not right for my life, not right for my circumstance right now. So, at any rate, one of the things that I know is that this thing of anxiety comes up for all of us all the time. And I've not met a completely and totally enlightened being yet that I haven't seen anxiety come up for and inside of from time to time. Last night was pretty remarkable. We hung out as a family, and at the end of the night, about 10 o'clock, mom and Prosperity are going to bed. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm hanging out with my two sons, Sterling and Maximus. And I don't know how the weather was in the rest of the country. Last night in Carlsbad, was crazy. I've been in Southern California since, '76, and I've been on the ocean for probably the last 30 longer actually, 40 years. No, gosh, longer than that. Since I was 40 years. And last night, we saw the most remarkable electrical storm. It was massive. Lightning going off every 2, 3 seconds, big, burst of light in the sky, and then beautiful cracks of lightning coming down. And it was way off over the ocean. So we really weren't hearing any thunder. It was way off over the ocean. And it was probably one of the biggest wind and rainstorms I have seen in San Diego ever in my life. And so the lightning storm was great. It was magical. and my boys and I watched it. Sterling got his camera out. He got some really great video of the lightning. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So it was about 10:30. We watched the lightning for about 30 minutes. Lightning, by the way, lightning, lightning. And I sent them to bed, and then I went up to bed and crawled into bed with Erica, and I'm dozing off to sleep. And then all of a sudden, I get jarred out of my beta state, or excuse me, my delta state, and I cannot believe what I'm hearing. I It sounds like a tornado going on around me. It sounds as if the windows in the master suite, which are big, huge picture windows, it sounds as if they're gonna be blown in. And so I rolled over, pulled the covers up tight over Erica, and I put my body on top of her just in case if the window blew in, that all the glass shards would embed themselves in my body and I would protect my beautiful bride. I mean, that's what's going on for me. I know all the ladies listening and watching the show right now are going, "Oh, we love Marshall Silver." And most of the guys are probably going, "You're an idiot. Get a cardboard box. Don't put your body there. Put a board there. Roll her off the bed. Tuck her underneath. Do something." So at any rate, the wind was so strong it woke Erica up. And she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I've never heard the wind this strong." I'd kept the shade up because I wanted to watch the lightning while I was going to sleep. And so I brought the shades down. I said, "That'll slow any glass shards down." Except it was a storm unlike anything I'd ever seen before. It reminded me of one other storm that I have been in that was as bad. I wouldn't call it worse because my experience wasn't worse. It was as bad. I was down in Orlando and I saw some people saw me doing yes, Grace, it was God bowling and getting a spare, or maybe a strike after maybe they bowled a perfect game last night because God it was blowing. I was in Orlando and a hurricane was coming through. In fact, the hurricane was so crazy in Orlando that the hotel that we were doing the event in ordered everybody in the hotel to go back to their rooms. We had to leave the meeting space and go back to our rooms, which I thought was kind of fascinating because I'm thinking, so you're okay with us dying in our room up on the 10th floor, but you don't want us to be here in the basement in the meeting space, which has no windows, is beneath ground. And if there's any place we're going to be safe, it's there, not so much in the room. So at any rate, they order us to the room and we all go back to the room. And I had a gentleman who was working for me at the time. I love this guy. He worked for me for quite a while. I love this man. His name is Adam Sternberg. Adam Sternberg was working for me doing something. I don't even remember what he was doing. He was also, though, a photographer. He is a photographer. And he decided what he was going to do is rather than go to his room, he was going to go to the parking garage. And he was going to get on the roof of the parking garage so he could get some really good video of the hurricane. And so that's what he did. And he text messaged me. He said, "I'm on the roof of the parking structure, which is completely exposed. There's nothing there, just wind." He said, "And I'm getting some really cool video." And all I could say to him was, "Grab a hold of a pole with your other hand." Because I had this vision of Adam getting swept up in the hurricane, getting really good video. And as he's swirling around, last thing he's doing is sending me some cool footage. Being an entrepreneur, being a person in general, especially being an entrepreneur, though, is an invitation to anxiety. It is absolutely a request for more stress in your life. Some people think that a successful life has no stress. And I used to think that, and I'm positive that's simply not true. If you are Elon Musk, if you are Donald Trump for sure, if you are Sir Richard Branson, if you are anybody that's had any amount of success, then part of being successful is weathering the storm. It's being able to get through the dips. It's being able to acknowledge that it's not all sunshine and roses. It's not all profitability. You're going to lose money sometimes. You're going to lose employees, teammates that you love that are crucial to your success sometimes. You're going to get attacked by the government, almost guaranteed, no matter what your industry is. You make a boatload of money, you're going to get attacked. So, we're going to talk about protection in future shows. That's going to happen. So, I remember back in 1994, I did a release of a product, and the product, I released it via infomercial. Infomercials aren't huge right now. 28 and a half minutes of commercial is what an infomercial is. I created an infomercial. went $250,000 in debt, and put the show up on the air, and within 2 months had paid off the debt, had 2,000,000 liquid net in the bank, and by the end of the year, in that first year, 1994, by the end of the year of the release of the infomercial, we had done $120,000,000 in sales on a show that ultimately had cost me 10K out of pocket. $120,000,000 in sales, and I made about $22,000,000 net. Reason I tell you this is you'd think I'd be happy as a clam. Except, again, I understand the world to the degree that to they that are given much, much is expected. And I knew that I was going to have challenges with that money. One of the challenges that I was concerned about was an attack by the government. And so to celebrate my making $22,000,000, I grabbed my girlfriend and we leased a place over on the big island of Hawaii. Went over to Hawaii. And one of the books that I picked up was a book called The Power to Destroy. The Power to Destroy by a man named Senator Roth. Now, you may not know Senator Roth, and I don't even know if he's still a senator. I'm guessing probably not. But Senator Roth was the originator of something many of you are probably familiar with, a Roth ERA. He invented the Roth ERA. And the book, The Power to Destroy, was a book 100% about the IRS and the IRS destroying people's lives. And because I've just made a whole lot of money, I realized I was probably going to be talking to people from the IRS. I pay my fair share of taxes. I don't do anything gray, nothing questionable. In fact, if anything, I probably take less deductions than I'm entitled to just to play it safe and not be harassed. At any rate, I'm reading the book, and one of the things about the book it was talking about is the IRS, which frankly, in my opinion, is unconstitutional and should be illegal, which, by the way, I'm saying publicly, which once again puts me up as a target. At any rate, the IRS, like a bad used car sales lot. I'm not going to say used car sales lot. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with car salespeople or used car salespeople. I'm talking about a bad lot that would attack you. Like a bad used car salesperson is trying to get as much money as they possibly can for the thing that they sell. The thing is, the IRS doesn't actually sell anything. In fact, my great friend Jordan Solomon and his bride Amanda, one of the reasons I love them, and I don't know if they even know this, is the first day I met them, they were both wearing F asterisk CK, the IRS t-shirts. And the moment I saw them, I said, yeah, those are friends of mine. I don't even know who they are. Those are friends of mine. So at any rate, it was talking about the fact that the IRS tends to attack not poor people because poor people have no money. There's nothing to get. So why bother attacking them? The IRS doesn't attack rich people because rich people defend themselves. And they're not going to get any money because they're going to hire lawyers. They're going to prove their case up and they're not going to roll over like somebody else. Who does the IRS attack? People that they don't think can defend themselves. Generally speaking, middle class. Now, I don't do anything in the gray area. Having been attacked by the government, different entity, I don't do anything in any gray area. We videotape everything, including this broadcast. There's never a mistake about exactly what I said or how I presented myself because I don't want any challenges in that way. But as I was reading the book, I realized that that whole process of the IRS, that governmental agency, going after certain people, not going after other people, was concerning to me. And I started thinking about the fact that, Marshall, you just made a whole lot of money. Are there people that make money and then get attacked and then never make money again? Are there people that create success and then ultimately throw up their hands and say, it's too much pressure? I'm walking away from it. Dave Chappelle comes to mind. Kanye West, who frankly, I think is being wrongly attacked. He made some comments that people considered anti-Semitic, and I certainly am not for racism of any kind, whether it's based on race or religion or gender, any of the above. Except I also don't agree when people are offended by other people because they had a specific opinion. I, if I don't like a guy who happens to be black, that doesn't make me a racist. I don't like that guy. When I was 17 years old, I was in a Jack in the Box my girlfriend was working on, and three black guys, three guys of color came into the Jack in the Box. They robbed it at gunpoint, and to protect my girlfriend, Instead of just sitting there quietly because they had weapons, I stood up to defend her. Praise God, because God had a better plan for me. I wasn't shot dead on the spot. All they did was break a broomstick over my head and knock me unconscious. I came to, and I came to a police officer leaning over my face, and he looked down at me and he said, "You may be the luckiest human being I've ever known." I said, "Yeah, why's that?" Rubbing the knot on my head. He said, "The guys that robbed this Jack in the Box an hour previously had robbed the Burger King up the street. And while they didn't kill anybody, they fired a shot, meaning somebody could have gotten hurt because they fired their gun. And they had a gun. The gun was pointed at me. And for whatever reason, they didn't kill me. They just knocked me unconscious. Anything can happen. It's a fact. I've paid Sir Richard Branson a boatload a lot of money, millions of dollars, to be able to spend any time in his presence. And the biggest strategy that I utilized to spend that time with Sir Richard Branson is I have rented his entire Necker Island on 8 occasions, taken 28 guests along with me to his private island down in the British Virgin Islands. My family also went there once without renting the whole island. I took my kids down, rented out the master suite and the kids' bunker, and I'm reminded of a story of Branson from years and years ago that he was launching Virgin Airlines. They were struggling, and in they had an exorbitant amount. I'm searching for the word; it'll come to me. They had an unusually high number of cancellations for their flights, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. Why do people cancel so much? This is way more than the industry standard. One day, a woman contacts customer service and says, "I'm not flying on Virgin anymore. I'm done. You guys need to get your act together. You need to get your poop in a group. I am not flying Virgin anymore because all you guys do is cancel your flights." And the customer service rep said, "Ma'am, I'm not sure what you're talking about. We seldom cancel flights. We have one of the highest records in the industry of not canceling flights. What are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, I was on this flight here. I got a call from one of your representatives. They said the flight had been canceled, except they said British Airways has a similar flight that we can put you on and get you, to your destination." And the man says, "Ma'am, that flight wasn't canceled. That flight flew on schedule." And she says, "Well, your representative contacted me and said that it was canceled and put me on the British Airways airline flight." Well, they do a little bit of research, come to find out a whole lot of people were canceled and put on British Airways flights. A little bit of research, they come to find out British Airways had hacked into their reservation system and had been contacting all of their guests, all of their passengers, and telling them the same thing. The flight's been canceled. Come fly with British Airways. Well, Branson has about a half $500 million. He's worth about $500 million from his record companies and his other endeavors. And so Branson, rather than just roll over, says, "No, we're going to fight the storm that is British Airways. We're going to go on offense. We're not going to set on defense. We're going to attack." And he had to sell all of his companies just to fund the attack. Sold all of his companies, took his $500 million, and went to war. And in the end, prevailed. And now is worth, gosh, I don't know, probably $6 billion, all because he did not get anxious. He did not get angry even. There's no point in getting angry at the game. You got to play the game anyways, whether you're angry or not. And anger likely won't help you. So you just have to play the game. I tell my kids all the time, getting angry will never get you what you want. It may get you what you don't want. So if you're going to use anger as a strategy for getting what you want, let it be the last strategy you utilize. So as they say, the rest is history. He went to battle with British Airways. They were found guilty. They were, in fact, hacking his reservation system. And he not only saved his airline, made billions of dollars, and has moved on with his life. So, one of the things that I know, and I want you to write this down because this is what I want you meditating on all day today. We're going to start taking your calls shortly. So, if you are watching the show right now, I want to remind you, make sure you look for the link in the chat and make sure you get into the green room. Not everybody that wants to get on the air is brought onto the air. We only bring interesting people on the air, and your questions can have to do with anything. In fact, I like them to do with crazy topics. Specifically, the only things that you can ask me about, though, are sex, money, and power. It's basically is everything: sex, money, power, your relationships, your financial well-being, and your emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual well-being. There's nothing else. There's no other area. So your question has to be about sex, money, or power. And just so you know, I really like sex. At any rate, the lesson I want you to learn, and the thing I want you to ponder on, meditate on, put down as your mantra for the day is this: your success in life will be in direct proportion to your ability to ask for and embrace more stress. Yes, I'm telepathetic. If you want me to repeat it, all you got to do is think, Marshall, please repeat those words. Your success in life will be in direct proportion to your ability to ask for and embrace more stress. Welcome it. The higher the levels, the higher the devils. Last night, while this huge storm was going on, wind, rain like crazy, I look out the window and the cover of the cold plunge hadn't been bolted down, flew off and flew up against the fence. I watched as we have a what's called a glider, a rocking love seat down near the beach on our private beach. Got a rocking love seat that was down near the water, and it's heavy, completely flipped over. It was raining like crazy. My wife Erica leans over. She said, "Did you cover up the infrared sauna? Did you pull the tarp and zip it down and cover up the infrared sauna?" And I said, "No." She said, "Do you want me to go do it?" I said, "Absolutely not. It's crazy out there. No, to hell with the sauna. I want to make sure you're safe, and I'm not going out there." And so woke up this morning, and the door of the infrared sauna had blown open, which was crazy. So massive storm, and all I could think about while I was lying in bed once again was the wind blowing so hard against the picture window inside of the master suite and bursting. And there had been a storm here about a year ago that there was a weather alert that said stay away from windows if you're sleeping tonight because the winds are going to be 50, 60 miles an hour. And I promise you, the winds are were definitely better than that last night, without a doubt, better than that. Now, at the beach house, it's 3 levels, and we have a guest bedroom that is subterranean. It's down in the earth, down like where this bunker is, where the theater is. It's in the earth. There's no windows because we're basically in a basement. And the previous storm, we'd all go down to the basement to be safe, and you couldn't hear the storm down there because it's subterranean. And I thought, gosh, maybe I should grab the family, take everybody down to the guest room. The challenge is the guest room is filled with Christmas gifts right now. And because it's filled with Christmas gifts, I couldn't take the kids in there. And so all I could do is pray to God. And here is the next step. So, how do we get out of anxiety? Here's how we get out of anxiety. First and foremost, recognize that what you're afraid of happening may never happen. First and foremost, it may never happen. Last night, the window did not burst. I did not pick the shards of glass out of my bouquet while protecting my bride. It didn't happen. So any amount of worry about it happening was unfounded and wasted. There was no point because it didn't change anything. Here's the other thing, though. Sometimes the things we are anxious for do happen. I was married when I was 21. We weren't suited for each other. We were really good friends. We just weren't husband and wife material. We divorced. In fact, we lived together for a year and a half after we divorced because we really were good friends and I liked dating her and we were fun. We just weren't compatible. My next marriage, though, because I'd been divorced already, my next marriage was all wrong, except I fought for it. I fought for it because I didn't want to go through another divorce, didn't want to be a failure twice. I fought for it. And now looking back, I realize that would have been the worst thing in the world for me had that divorce not happened. Had my ex and I stayed married, we'd have both been miserable. We weren't suited for each other. And so all the prayers that I had, God, please direct me, guide me, help me save my marriage. God was looking at me saying, you're an idiot, dude. You don't want this marriage. Oh man, I have something way better planned for you. Going to take a little while. You're not quite ready for it. I've got to put you through some challenges. And when you're ready, when you're hardened and you're appropriate, I'm going to give you the best gift of your life, which God did. God gave me the most amazing gift of my life, my beautiful bride, prosperity, the best decision I have ever made in my entire life. So all those moments of being anxious were wasted. So first and foremost, step 1, surrender. It is what it is. You cannot change it. Sometimes the thing you're afraid of happening is actually really, really good for you. So not only surrender to the circumstance, I say surrender to God. And even if you don't believe in God, I do. I'm not religious. In disclosure, I am not religious. I do love God deeply, and I have seen way too many miracles in my life to not believe absolutely in a higher power. The second thing, though, after you surrender, is you surrender and then look for the good, because finding your life less than perfect is a flat out waste of your time. It is what it is. So you look for the good. You say, okay, what's good about this? Well, certainly one of the things good about the storm last night is I was lying there while the storm was going on, and the first thoughts, of course, were a concern of the window breaking in. Then I thought about the people that didn't have a window to break in. I thought about the people that were in that storm here in my little town, sleeping on a cardboard box, probably underneath a bridge to hopefully get out of the rain, that had a whole different set of concerns. And given the choice between worrying about whether the picture window on my $10 million beach house was going to implode by the wind, or sleeping under a bridge and not having to worry about the window breaking because I didn't have a window, I'll take the window every time. And so it's the adage, I once cried because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. You start putting things in perspective. The next step to overcoming anxiety is understanding not only number 1, we surrender and find it perfect. The next step is we say, what's good about this? How do we make this a good thing? How do we utilize whatever the circumstance is in the future? Well, certainly on a minor level, on a micro level, the storm last night gave me great content for today's show. So it was helpful. Thank you, God. The storm last night also let me realize that, sometimes the best thing is the storm. Sometimes not having a storm, having sunshine 24/7 makes things weak, makes things fat and happy, makes things makes people take things, blessings for granted. And so I believe that the only reason anything exists is because of resistance. It resists its polar opposite. Day exists because it resists night. Love exists because it resists fear. We're resisting. So, this program is designed to resist the chaos in the world. For 2 hours a day, what I want to do, 2 hours, give or take, 90 minutes, 2 hours, I want to give you an opportunity to have your life blessed. I want to give you a chance to realize number 1, we're in this together and together we got this. Not only together we got this, what you're looking for is in a place you haven't looked. So if you are looking for answers and you're feeling frustrated and you don't know what to do, well, you're not going to learn what to do by doing nothing. You got to sample the buffet, and the buffet might be seeking out people that have already accomplished the thing that you seek to accomplish and hacking their process. When I went through my second divorce, I went to my mother and I said, Mom, I need relationship help. Clearly, I don't have a clue. And my mother said, well, you have too much money. And I said, what does that have to do with my relationships? She said, you have too much money and that gets in the way. You attract a certain kind of a woman because you have too much money. I said, Mom, why do you think I'm making money? I'm making money to attract women. That's part of the deal. And she said, plus, you always go for the beautiful girl. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, it's better than the ugly girl. That's for sure. So I also realized my mom had been married 4 times and had kids from 5 fathers. Probably wasn't a really good person for me to hack. Wasn't a really good person for me to ask the question about relationships to. I went to my brother. My brother had married his high school sweetheart. had been happily married at the time for I think about 30 years, a long time. And I said, Tim, what do you think? Do you think that my challenges, I always go for the pretty girls? And he laughed and he said, you and myself and your other brothers have talked about this, and we don't think you always go for the beautiful girl. In fact, just the opposite. One of the things that we have noticed is that you date a woman who's pretty, not gorgeous, except they're pretty, and as you date them, they become gorgeous. And, certainly spa treatments and going shopping and nice clothes and uh, being able to afford going to the gym, all those are benefits. Except I don't think that's what makes somebody, especially a woman, beautiful. What makes a woman beautiful is a pouring in. It's the 12 cows story. It's understanding her inherent value because I pour into Erica, my wife, and remind her every day she's the best decision I ever made. I tell her 20 times a day that I love her. I tell her 50 times a day how beautiful she is. And because I constantly edify her, she carries herself better. She interacts with the world as a beautiful woman interacts. Yes, Lorray. I don't just make them feel pretty. What I do is I remind them of how beautiful they are so that ultimately they they become that person. So, how do we lastly overcome anxiety? Not only do we utilize what's ever going on, not only do we ask what's perfect about this, how does this serve me? I know going through those two previous marriages was the best thing ever for my current marriage. I know what a bad marriage is. Now I know what a really good marriage is. And so when we have minor things that come up, they're minor. If I'm being pissy, I say, Marshall, get over it already. Stop being pissy. And I get over it. And the same thing is true in business, always. Get over it. I have a lease that I have been working on for months. And one day the landlord just said, you know what? We don't want to do the deal. And okay, it's his building. He can do whatever he wants to do. The building is good. I like the building. Probably could work out fine for us for our brand new theater and studio for this show and some other things that we're doing. I waited a couple of months. Place still hadn't been leased. Sent him another text message. I think he thought he was responding to the realtor because he sent back a note that didn't seem like it was written to me. Looked like it was written to the realtor, listing the reasons he wasn't going to lease to me. The guy's level 82. I frankly think he's cranky. And none of the stuff that he had mentioned in his text message were accurate. And I just let it go because there's nothing going to change somebody's mind that's already stuck in their stinking thinking. And the utilization would be me saying to God, okay, I've had a challenge finding a place. I've had not great luck with landlords. I've had a couple cranky ones. So, what are you attempting to tell me, God? And yesterday, I got no less than 3 emails from LoopNet. LoopNet is the website where you go and find commercial real estate. And all 3 emails I hadn't said anything to anybody, hadn't even spoken out loud to my wife. All 3 emails were for lease options on commercial buildings. And I got the message. God was saying, Marshall, don't lease a building again. Buy a building. Find a permanent home for studio money. Find a permanent place to put your business that not only can you plant the business, every dollar you spend on tenant improvements, you keep. And at the end of it all, you have an asset that, should you decide to sell, has likely increased value. So finding your life less than perfect is a waste of time. You got to deal with what emerges because it is what it is. And although that's Zen, it's a fact. The people that succeed the most don't just deal with what emerges. The people that win the most actually say, what's great about this? Oh, I lost my number one customer. Awesome. They were 90% of my business. Oh my God. Or thank God I lost them now when I'm making millions rather than have one primary customer later on when I have billions that would control my life and bankrupt me. Now I can rebuild my business model so as not to put all of my business eggs in one basket. Good stuff. Looking over here at the chat. Let's see. Somebody is in the chat. No, I don't recognize them. I don't know them at all. Yes. They're calling me an ugly soul though that apparently you're attracted to because I see them in the chat. That's fascinating to me. So the higher the levels, the higher the devils. You're gonna get attacked, and a lot of times people don't. I'm gonna take a picture of that. I don't know who that person is, but they're being abusive. And heck, if you're gonna abuse somebody, at least let them know why you're abusing them. Doing the show. Yep, I'm gonna put myself up to be attacked. That is for sure. We're gonna be giving away cash. There'll be some people that will be angry that we didn't give the cash away yesterday. Oh, the word yesterday was Yeti. Nobody's gonna come up with the word Yeti. I'm not giving away 5 grand or 10 grand or 50 grand cash easily. You're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to listen to me. You're gonna have to decipher the clues in the first portion of the show to figure out what the word might be in the latter portion of the show. Yes. You're gonna have to weather the storm. You're gonna have to like I did last night, realize it's happening for a reason. If the window blows in, then yeah, it blows in. If the glass shards go everywhere, that's just the way that it is. So, fact of the matter is, you and you alone are responsible for your life. Do not be a victim, be a victor. Do not be a victim, be a victor, because that's how you're going to win. So, at any rate, Branson not only survives, he thrives. Not only did I survive a couple bad relationships, ups and downs, now I'm in, without a doubt, the best era of my life. I'm in a time in my life where I have the most beautiful wife, most perfect wife. I've got 3 awesome kids. I've got tons and tons and tons of fans who are enjoying the show. Apparently 1 or 2 detractors, except that goes with the territory. And the fact of the matter is you cannot please everybody. So, final note on dealing with anxiety is recognize you can't please anybody everybody. No matter how good you do, there's gonna be people attacking you. 2017 through January of 2021 were years that the majority of the country thrived. The majority of the country won. Gas here in Carlsbad, some of the most expensive gas in the country, was down below $2 a gallon while Trump was in office. The economy was booming. We had a positive flow of oil in our country. We had the border under control pretty much. We were winning. Winning on that level, though, and Trump still gets attacked. I just saw, this is not a political show, except obviously politics are a part of our life. I just saw Colorado voted to not put Trump on the ballot. Number one, it's unconstitutional. He's committed no crime, been convicted of no crime, accused, yes, by fellow Democrats, but convicted of no crime. And they're going to take him off the ballot. That's what we should be worried about. That's what we should deal with. And ultimately, that's what we must understand is if you're going to do great things, you're going to get attacked by lesser people. You never get attacked by people that are greater than you. You will always be attacked by the haters and the people less than you because the people less than you are just that, they're less. They don't do anything of value. They don't help other people out and they don't give on a regular basis. The show's free. I'm here for you. We're going to open up. I'm going to play a little video for you in a moment that I think is adorable video for you. And then we're going to start taking your calls. If you have a desire to ask me a question, look at the chat. The chat is got a link inside of there that you can connect with to get into the studio. Let our team know you want to get on the air. And if it's fascinating enough, they'll let me know all about your question. And if you're the most fascinating question of the day, and today I'm going to also decide what was the most fascinating question. I'm going to decide when we do the show in full rollout, you're going to decide. You're going to vote on what the most fascinating question of the day is. So you can take it off my tab, take it off my table. So there's nobody attacking me because I selected somebody else. And then ultimately, if you happen to use the secret word of the day while we are conversing, you'll win today $5,500. And the secret word is in a box right here beside me. I know it's not in full view, but it's in a box right beside me, and it's going to stay there. When we launch the show full time, I'm going to put the box or the secret word right here so you can see it, so that you realize, yep, it's legit. We're actually doing what we do. And although nobody else is putting 5 or $5,500 up for grab, 5,000 or $5,500 up for grabs or more as time goes by, we are. We are. And nothing would make me happier than to give away the cash. And especially, and this is selfish, I'd love to have it grow. I'd love to see the cash grow to 20, 30, $50,000 and have somebody win it then. You don't want to give I do. It doesn't matter to me. It grows every day and eventually it's going to be given away. So it doesn't matter to me whether it's given away today or tomorrow or 6 months from now. At any rate, we're going to take a short break. And when we take the short break, we are going to come back and we're going to start taking your calls. And wow, wow, we got a celebrity. I see a celebrity in the chat. Reed Hoffman. Absolutely. We're going to chat with Reed first off. That's fascinating. And I want to talk to him about that. And we'll go from there. In the meantime, it's Christmas and we have traditions. My beautiful bride, for whatever it's worth, she loves traditions and she loves creating things that we just do. For Christmas, we just do prime rib as our dinner. For New Year's, we do a crown roast, which is another version of a prime rib, and lobster. And the lobsters were pulled out of the ocean directly in front of my beach house. Usually, they're captured by an inner circle student of mine who then wakes me up with a text message and says, "You've got 9 bugs in a cooler in your backyard. Go get them." So Christmas is very special. We have a number of Christmas traditions. My children are 12, 10, and 8. Back when my daughter was not yet 1, we took a Christmas portrait of her and the other people that, we took a picture of her and her siblings with Santa. And the next year, we were all in the photo. We were dressed up as Elf on a Shelf. And as we were taking the photo as in our costumes of Elf on the Shelf, the costumes became a tradition. But I also decided in that photo to put the previous year's image in the background of that year's Christmas picture. The next year we dressed up in Christmas suits or Christmas pajamas, and I put the second picture of us as elves in the background of that original picture. It kind of looks a little bit like Inception. So, for whatever it's worth, this is Christmas with the Silvers over the last 8 years. Enjoy. Here we go. Max, sleep.
Santa Claus coming to town. Santa Claus coming to town. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus coming to town. Santa Claus coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Well, welcome back. That was fast. Yeah, we have fun. I love my life. I love our celebrations. Best period of my life is being a dad. So go to the phones. We are in beta right now. We are not in full launch. We are in beta. So there's going to be mistakes. It's going to be raw. It's not going to be as sexy as it will end up being. Yet ultimately, here we are. First call of the day today on this 12/22 is going to be Christoph. Christoph, welcome to the show.
Hey, hello.
What's your question?
My question is of today. First of all, I like to excuse myself because I'm not from America or England. I'm from Germany, so English is not my mother tongue.
Christoph, are you in Germany right now?
Yes. I'm living in
What city are you in?
In the eastern part of Germany, near Dresden or Leipzig.
Well, awesome. How did you find out about my show?
That's a good question. I read a book about prosperity. It's called, I have it right here. It's from Marcus Rothkranz. This is the German title, Heal Yourself Rich, or I think his original title is Prosperity Secret.
Yes.
And you were one of the guys who gets interviewed. He had like 4 guys or something, and you were one of the guys who got an interview in this book.
Yeah,
And
Marcus Rothkranz, for those of you that don't know who Marcus is, he's brilliant. This guy is brilliant. He's a modern day Leonardo da Vinci. He not only is a remarkable fine artist, he is also a movie maker. He makes movies. He's also one of the top experts in the world on raw food, raw diets, and just a remarkable human being. Yes. So I'm glad that you met me via Marcus. He is world renowned, and any friend of Marcus's is a friend of mine. So what's your question, Christoph, from Germany?
okay, I wrote it to Amanda, and I just need to scroll up. So my question is today, because today's topic is anxiety and today's word is satori, I would like to ask how to deal with chronic problems or illness. This could be physical, mental, or anything else for that matter, that hinders yourself enjoying the very moment, yourself, and ultimately blocks you from being your full potential. How can you cut the rubber band that always pulls you back or throws you back?
Great question. So as I heard, the question is, how do I deal with chronic problems or illnesses and such? Fair enough.
Yes.
So first and foremost, the language patterns that we use to describe our circumstance are really important. One of the things that I want to point out is utilizing the word chronic, and whatever the German translation is the first challenge in what you're dealing with. You're giving power to that instance, that experience, by putting the word chronic on it. Rather than call it chronic, I would just call it whatever it is. So this challenge, I have this dis-ease, I have this challenge in my life, whatever it is. So the first thing is put it in perspective by minimizing its impact. I have a friend that just died recently of cancer, and the challenge is that life is for the living. And I told them when they were battling and it was becoming apparent that they were not winning the battle, that they should figure out a way to find joy in every single moment, no matter what's going on. And from that moment forward, they started planning a year, 5 years, 10 years in the future, and they said, "Look, this is what we're gonna do." And they began down that path. Now, they died, they passed, and they never got a chance to accomplish any of those things, except the fact of the matter is, by focusing on those things, they ultimately had more joy in the final days of their lives than they would have had. And what would the reverse have been? That they had sat in that anxiety, what they considered to be a chronic condition, and not planned ahead and lived. So they had lived their whole life like they were gonna die, and then they didn't die, and then they lived. That would be worse. Somebody asked me a question yesterday that I thought was kind of an argument, Christoph, you're asking. And the question was, how do you demonstrate certainty basically in an uncertain world? And what I told them is, you must have an expectation of certainty, an expectation that things are going to turn out well, and yet also manage expectation. My wife tells me she loves me forever. And what I realize is that that doesn't mean she loves me forever, forever. She loves me forever right now. And so the fastest way out of hell, out of what might be considered a chronic circumstance, is to find something in your life that's perfect. It's not chronic. Find something in your life that is really good. And when you find that one thing, what'll happen is, because what we focus on expands, you'll find something else that's perfect, and then something else that's perfect. And if you start noticing a bunch of things that are really good and perfect, not chronic, what happens is your label about your life will shift altogether. And you'll begin to say, my life is not chronic. It is not challenged. It is not bad. All these things that are going on, yeah, they're not fun. And I would pray that they would be different and wish they were different, except this is what I'm dealing with. Everybody deals with different things. I notice you're a good looking man. And I noticed that you have this big, huge, full head of hair. And you look a lot like my four brothers. All four of them have big, beautiful Elvis Presley heads of hair. Me, not so much. And while I could dwell on the fact that my brothers all have big, beautiful, full heads of hair, and I do not, it won't serve me. So instead, what I decided was that I would shave off all the portions of my head that would grow hair. I would take charge of my own circumstance, tell my head who the boss was, and that I would celebrate my shaved head, and that I would celebrate my distinction. And that rather than get angry at my head that won't grow hair or my height or my weight or anything that is in my current circumstance, I would say, no, deal with what you can deal with. Take the fat off if you're not happy with your body. Embrace your height because there's really nothing you can do about that. And if your head won't grow hair, then realize you've got a whole bunch of other talents that are really great. So why don't you tell me one thing perfect in your life?
Well, I think there's a few things.
Of course there are. One of them is you're talking to me. You might win $5,000, $5,500 today. You might win 10 ounces of pure silver. It's actually a pretty good day. There's a lot of people in the queue to get on the show, and I picked you because you seem fascinating.
Thank you. And I can share some hair with you.
Thank you. I love you, except I don't want it. I'll tell you why I don't want it. The day I shaved my head, I went out to dinner. And when I went out to dinner, I was with my wife. And we're sitting there talking. And all of a sudden, I felt a pair of hands rubbing my head. And I'm thinking it's a friend of mine just being funny. I turn around. It's a woman I don't know. Some strange woman in the restaurant saw my shaved head, decided she wanted to touch my scalp with her fingertips. And when I turned around in a start, she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask for permission. Is it okay if I rub his head?" Except she wasn't asking me. She was asking my wife. And my wife starts laughing. She says, "Yeah, go ahead." And I looked at my wife. I said, "What am I, a piece of meat?" And so she's laughing, and the woman's laughing, but the woman's rubbing my head. And all of a sudden, I felt a second pair of hands rubbing my head. I turn around. It's a different woman I don't know. And she said, "Well, if she has permission, I want to rub his freshly shaved head too." That night I went home. I shaved my whole body, Christoph. I did. I shaved my whole body. Now, I don't want to have to prove it on this show, but it's a fact. Hey, I'm so glad you found the show. What time is it in Germany right now?
Now it's 8 p.m.
Lovely. Well, I'm very glad you're here. Great chatting with you, and I pray that my answer gave you a little bit of peace.
Thank you. Thank you for
God bless.
for your
Peace out.
advice.
That's a good question. How do you deal with chronic illness? How do you deal with sickness or physical limitations? How do you deal with things that you cannot change? And you deal with the things that you cannot change in the same way that you deal with anything. I went through open heart surgery a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago in February. And certainly nobody wants to go through open heart surgery. I didn't. It was in the middle of COVID. I am anti-vaccines. I am. I think masks are stupid. There we go. You've heard my opinion on those two topics. And it's not that I think the people that wear masks are stupid. Not at all. If you want to wear a mask, God bless you. Your choice. You should. If you think that that's the best thing for your health, absolutely. I won't judge you. I won't think you're stupid. I think the idea of forcing people that don't agree with a perspective to a perspective, that's bad. That's not good. When the manufacturer of the masks on the box, right on the box, says this will not help safeguard against any viruses. Well, heck, if the manufacturer knows they don't work, then the rest of us should believe them. At any rate, during all of that time, I am having open heart surgery while I'm in the hospital. The first thing, they're insisting that I wear a mask in the hospital while I'm lying in my hospital bed. And they're all wearing masks. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. It's not a law. It's not a regulation. In fact, you can't deny me care in your hospital because of your oath. And so they stopped that battle. They quit telling me to put my mask on. I said, I'm not going to wear a mask. The second thing is, though, they told me in order to get treatment, I had to get a vaccine. I said, no, I do not. My body, my choice. I get to choose the treatment you give me. I'm not forced on treatment just because you tell me so. And so I refuse to get a vaccine while they're getting me prepped for open heart surgery. While they're prepping me, I deal with a lot of nurses, and I ask the nurses, they're talking about mandated vaccines, which number one is unconstitutional, against the Geneva Convention, illegal, and punishable by death. By the way, that mandate is punishable by death because it's against the Nuremberg Code, all brought about when the Nazis were in power and after they came out of power in Nazi Germany. Speaking of Germany. So, but at any rate, I wouldn't take the vaccine. They threatened to not treat me. And I said, no, you'll treat me. You'll do the surgery. I don't know if they gave me a vaccine while I was knocked out. They could have, for all I know. I don't think they did. I don't believe that they did. The fact of the matter is, though, my valve on my heart was torn and it had to be repaired. They put a titanium valve in there. They did a robotic open heart surgery. And so back to the question, how do you deal with something like that? You deal with it. You recognize. I remember waking up in the hospital, in the IC, in the intensive care unit after my surgery, and I remembered thinking how grateful I was that I woke up, thinking how grateful I was that I just had major surgery and that I survived. So I said, "Thank you, God." And just like the lesson that I gave you earlier, I said, "Okay, God, what's your purpose for helping my life and letting me live? What is the purpose? What's the reason I'm here?" And I got a loud message. And the loud message was, Marshall, I want you to teach people how to have better lives. Not just on the level you're doing it now. I want you to teach people how to have better lives. Go back to what you were doing previously times 1,000. So here on the show, I am committing myself for up to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, starting February 12th, for the show as we roll out full time. And I'm committing to helping you in any area of your life. Plus, I'm committed to giving away tens of thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. The last time we were on the air, I gave away $350,000 plus. In the first year we were on the air, gave away cash every single day, every single hour, actually, back in 2013. And we're intending to do something similar right now, giving you both prizes of pure silver, which in my opinion will ultimately be worth more than our US dollar fiat currency. And then also giving you some fiat currency that you can, with my recommendation, quickly convert it into something else that's more valuable. So at any rate, we got Mark backstage seeking to chat. I'm going to take a couple more calls on today's show. It is 11:11. Welcome to the program, Mark.
Hey, Marshall, how you doing?
How is your morning? Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. I've been following you since the 90s. I remember your first product. We had a mastermind group of people who had a lot of benefits from your book and your program. One lady got a husband from doing the hypnosis tapes.
I love it. So you guys bought my book and then created a mastermind group around the content?
Well, yeah. Well, basically, this is kind of interesting because I bought the book and read it like 3-4 times. And then I met this lady. I was working at Kinko's. I was a young kid, and she bought everything. She bought the program, the tapes, and then we got just people who in the neighborhood that that did your stuff, and we just talked about it all the time. That's about it.
Well, you know what? I don't know how the rest of the day is going to go, Mark, but right now, you made my day. So you got a good shot at it.
Cool, brother. Oh, my question. Honestly, man, I love you, man. Anyway, I've been following you since YouTube's, and I know you're trying to get hooked up with the Wall Street. I even wanted to go to that event, but then I think, was it COVID that happened right then and there? Hello? I can't. Is something going on? Hello? Hello?
out, better make a move. Don't think twice now, you got things to prove. I'm not playing, I'm not hard to get. 'Cause when I saw you, there was nothing else. You got dreams and I got dreams, so let us open up about it. Maybe we will fit right in. You got dreams and I got dreams, so let's start making plans around it. Maybe we can dive right in. Oh, don't let me down, I've been killing love songs, honey. Don't fool around, you know I've been waiting, honey. Let's fall deep down in love. Down in love. Let's fall deep down in love. Let's fall deep down in love. Tick tock, thumbs up, got my trust in you. This might seem typical,